being here today. And I want to thank Reverend Kay and Carlsbad Center for Spiritual Living for inviting me to speak today. Today I'm talking about trick or treat, the metaphysical meaning of trick or treat, a little different than what we believe. I just wanted to mention that I love autumn. For me, I had a wonderful childhood growing up in rural Nebraska, and I stepped out this morning and a dried leaf was under my foot and it crunched. And I thought, that was a little sad because, it is dead. It's crunchy. And I just felt there's so much change going on. It's beautiful in the autumn. You can really see it with the leaves. And all nature is changing just as we are. So the trick or treat, the metaphysical trick or treat, is our minds trick us into believing we're separate, and we're not. And the treat is when we discover we're one with God, we're one with each other. There's never been any separation, and there never will be. And ErnestHolmes, the founder of our movement, wrote a book, Science of Mind, and he said, every person is an incarnation of God. So I just want you to look at the people around you, and especially today, God in an amazing disguise, right? Halloween. So when I was a kid, October was a time where you cut down all the corn stalks and you had a big bonfire, which is what they did in Europe. The Celtic people would have a huge bonfire and put on costumes and scare away the devil. So we used to have trick-or-treaters for real. And so my mother would always kind of let it known to the other farming mothers that she would make candy, she would make popcorn balls with caramel and caramel apples. So we didn't get any tricksters opening a gate or graffiti on the wall or letting animals out. So this time of year is Halloween, just in a few more days, and the Day of Dead. We're going to go to Mexico and celebrate the Day of Dead with some friends there. But change is scary. That's the scary part of life, changing, because we don't control it. Change can shut a door on our lives and push us into a hallway where we're confused. And a Unity minister named Ellen Davenport wrote a book, Hell in the Hallway. So I want to just talk about that a little bit. Hell is actually has gifts for us, even though we may believe that our life has ended. A visit to hell does change you, and for some people, it changes them forever. But first, I like a good joke. Halloween began as a Celtic celebration, scary ghosts and goblins, and it included carving turnips. Thank goodness in the U.S. we carve pumpkins. Have you ever tried to carve a turnip? Ever wonder why there's a highway to hell? A stairway to heaven. Little more people going to hell. And my favorite writer, Mark Twain, he said, I don't like to commit myself about heaven or hell. You see, I have friends in both places. So last joke, what's the difference between hell and a hill? A very fine line. Okay. So back to hell in the hallway. Sometimes in life you feel like somebody took a 2x4. You know what a 2x4 is? It's a piece of wood, and they just went whap. And it's like, whoa. You're forced to change. You're in hell. What do you do? Well, my favorite is I cry. I eat Haagen-Dazs. I don't eat sensibly. I scream, I cuss, sometimes at God, sometimes at the universe. Sometimes I don't want to get out of bed, and I don't. I leave my pajamas on till noon. And, when you're in that state of mind, it's kind of like I'm a victim. And you start saying things like, why did this happen to me? Why am I a victim? Have pity. You get stuck in the muck. Has anybody been there? Okay. And they say, this book said, when one door closes, another door opens. Not always. You create the new door. You have the power. And some people tend to stay in hell. They like their story. They like to tell the same story over and over again because it's comfortable. It's comfortable for their life. Some jump at the first door that opens up, the first relationship. Oh, I can't stand to be single. And they jump into a relationship that may not be for their highest good. But the thing is, if you didn't learn a lesson in the first relationship, you get several chances to do it again. Robert and I attended law school, the same law school in San Francisco. We had this professor, and he used to say, just pay attention to the big D, divorce and death. And I was like, okay, we had it drummed into us. You see, with divorce and with death, legally, you change your status. You go from being married to single, or you go from being a spouse to a widower. Your whole life changes, and people recognize that. But change is how we grow spiritually. That's how we evolve. Meister Eckhart, he was a 13th century Catholic minister, monk, and he said, God is in the darkness as well as the light. So God is still with you. God has always been with you. There's never any separation. And we said it earlier when we did the candles. God is love. God is light. Well, all these attributes that are God, that's who you are. That's your attributes. And don't be afraid. The light within you guides you. In addition to death and divorce, anybody lose a job or get fired? Yeah. I had a job for 20 years, and the company was bought out by a company owned by Warren Buffett. 20 years I was with this company in Portland, and I loved the people. And that was like, whoa. Some things are hard to recover from. Sometimes the door closes slowly. You're going to have a baby. You got 9 months to change your house, your wardrobe, your life. Or your child is going off, moving out, going to college, going to trade school. You have a couple of years to kind of prepare yourself. And that doesn't mean catastrophizing. That's the problem. We start 2 years before they graduate from high school about, oh, I'm going to miss them. Oh, isn't this going to be terrible? What am I, monkey mind. Sometimes a pet dies. That was very hard for me. My pet of 15 years died last year. What about those scary medical prognosis? Anybody get a scary prognosis? Foreclosure, bankruptcy. Oh, this is the worst. A lawsuit. You ever get named in a lawsuit? It's the worst. Jail. That's a bad hell too. So you learn that your catastrophizing does not get you out of hell. So How do you create another door? How do you open another door? Well, first, you discover all the gifts in hell. What did that relationship give you? What did that loving person give you? And you give gratitude and you forgive yourself. Change your consciousness, change your life. That's how you get out of hell. So, my only niece died last winter, less than a year ago. And that has been causing me to do a lot of just looking at her pictures and thanking her for the different things in her life. And the same with jobs that I've had. Thank them. Thank the people that were there. Thank the people in the office, even the people you were really not happy with. And you ever have an abnormal colonoscopy or an abnormal pap smear or a blood test? You know, I had a doctor refer me to an oncologist. I said, what's an oncologist? Oh, well, don't worry about it. Just show up. It's like, what? We start awfulizing, is my word. I'm going to have chemo, or my hair is going to fall out. And it's kind of like, wait a minute, stop, just stop, turn away. No, that's not who I am. You know, for a minute, I believed in this. And then I stopped and did a treatment. I did a prayer. And essentially, I just said, no, that's not for me. That's not my diagnosis. I am healed, whole, and healthy. I am created after the pattern of perfection. I have lots of energy. And I went to the doctor's office, and he came in, and this new oncologist, he said, oh, I'm so sorry. There's been a mistake. I misread the x-ray. Yeah, we know that. We know that one. Thank you, Spirit. And again, what can we do? We use our word. We use prayer. That's how we change. Be careful how you use your word. And instead of, why did this happen to me? Well, why did this happen through me? I am God expressing, why did this occur in my life? Why did I allow this to happen? What is the gift for me to learn so I can evolve? Just remember, we're all human. We all have the same stuff to work with. So we learn how to give thanks for it. So you're not a victim. You are a creator. And you create a wonderful life. Heaven you create on earth. So when I was 34, I got a divorce. Single. I became single. I didn't have any children. And I attended one of those T groups. They call them therapy groups. Kind of like 12 steps. But it's for therapy for people going through divorce. And it's kind of, you know, you share. You go around the room in a circle and you share your marriage, how things went. And over the following several weeks, I think we did it for 6 or 8 weeks, some people started to change. Some people started to say things like, well, I had no idea this was going to happen, but I'm learning from it. I think this is the best thing. I'm getting a lot out of it. And we were growing apart. Neither one of us was happy. And I accept my part in this divorce. Now, other people, they said the same story every week, the same story. And it was like, woe is me. He left me and my children, and I'll never marry again. I'll never love again. And it's kind of like, wow. Well, they get attention, but they don't change. And life is about change. You know, they don't create a new door. They get old. and die. We get old and die. We die, I believe, because we have no more to learn that we're willing to accept. It's like you have to say, yes, I'm willing to change. I'm willing to embrace a new way of being, a new consciousness. 2 weeks ago, a dear friend of mine from college texted me his wife had died suddenly. And it was very perplexing to me because she was extremely healthy and she was a lot younger than he was, and she had not yet retired. And that day, he said she had already clocked 25,000 steps. She was very much into working out. And, you know, she was never ill. So they didn't get the chance to travel. And he sounded like he was in hell. I think he's still in hell. And we have to support our friends that are going through this. So I've been sending them texts and cards, helping to go through this process. When I was at UCLA, I took a class about a book, Death and Dying by Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. She said there's several steps to grieving. She had 5 or 6 stages: denial, isolation, anger. You get really angry. You start bargaining. Oh God, don't do this to me. Why did this happen to me? I'll do this if you know. Depression, and coming to acceptance. There's no order. You should bless your feelings. Your feelings don't have to be resolved. They never have to be resolved. Bring the feelings up. Allow the feelings to be. Bless your feelings. Allow yourself to be human. There's Elizabeth Kubler-Ross's student, a guy named David Kessler, and I'm reading one of his books. It's called Finding Meaning, which he wrote after his son died. And he said the last stage of grief is actually just that, finding meaning. And that's how we grow spiritually. We find meaning to what has happened. We step above it. We look at a higher consciousness, at what's going on. We see from a higher perspective. Now, there's no silver bullet to deal with grief. We deal with it in our own way, in our own time. It's a loss of, we know the law of circulation. Love circulates. And when one of the people or the pets or the jobs that we love is gone, that is stopped. The loving is stopped. So we have to go out and find new ways to love. Now, every Thanksgiving we do Thanksgiving, what we're thankful for. You can do that today. You can go home today and just write down 5 or 10 things you're thankful for. And especially if you remember relationships you've had in the past, go home, write down what was good about that relationship. Give thanks for it. So the Old Testament says, Psalms 23, though I walk through the valley of death, I'll fear no evil, for thou art with me. Well, the operative word is walk. It takes less energy to walk through chaos and fear than to hold it back or push it back or cover it up, taking alcohol or drugs or gambling or playing on the internet, you know. It's like it takes less energy just to walk through your feelings. So Reverend Dr. Carol Carnes says, don't buy a condo. Walk through it. Don't buy that condo. And ErnestHolmes, he said, Jesus summed up his whole philosophy in this simple statement: it is done unto you as you believe. We suffer not because suffering is imposed upon us, because we are ignorant of our true nature. But we all know we're one with God. We have to remember that. So raising your consciousness and walking through hell lifts us to a greater heaven right here on earth. We create new. Remember who you are. You're the divine expression. You are the beloved of your beloved. You know, you're so beautiful. You're so precious. You know, all the attributes of God are yours. So if you happen to get into hell, and we're all going to do it again, we're all going to go, something's going to 2x4 us. Change is there. 7 things you can do, 7 tips. Say yes to people that say, I want to help you. Just say yes. Meditate. Have some alone time. Get in touch with the light within. Write a journal. If you're really into the monkey mind, write it down, then take that piece of paper and throw it away or burn it. Let go of that awful catastrophizing. Let it go. Go to the beach. Just sit on the beach. Listen to the waves. Just be there. Forgive. Forgive. Forgive yourself. I should have seen that coming. Forgive yourself. It was my fault. No, forgive yourself. Just let go. And we do what we call treat and move our feet. You know, that job I was telling you about that I had for 20 years and I was so attached to, and I loved the people so much. Well, it was such a shock to be let go. I was there for 20 years, and at 49, I was out. And because I was short of my 50th birthday, the law did not protect me as far as the job. So I was scrambling to find a new job. At the same time, going over the grieving process. Well, something greater was trying to happen. Something greater. You know, I had a young daughter and I had a mortgage payment. But this something was evolving. It was showing itself. What happened, I do this thing where I treat and move my feet. That means you do your affirmative prayer and you work on it. You go for your vision. So I went to a job fair. I had a resume, and it showed one of my prior employers was a law firm in Oakland. Well, I gave this to this person at the job fair, and apparently one of the lawyers in the law department was good friends with this person that I had worked with, unbeknownst to me. And it was like, I got the job immediately. And I was working for a high-tech company that manufactured integrated circuits. It's like, what? I got a book on it, and I learned all about integrated circuits. They trained me to do immigration. I would never have done immigration, working for a utility. Something greater was trying to happen, and it did. And I just give thanks for that job. So my last recommendation to you is let go and let God. We say in religious science, we say, basically, you visualize what you want. You turn it over to God. Let God figure out all the details. Let go. Let God handle it. And also we treat. And I wanted to show you something in case you have a young one at home or someone. We used to do this explanation of treatment for young people. We would take a piece of paper and cut some holes in it. Then we would put our finger in it like this. And we tell the young kids, okay, look at this. This is Kate. This is Morgan. This is Gisela. This is Robert. This is Jim. They look like they're separate. You all look like you're separate. But guess what? No, you're all one. We teach that to kids. The other thing we teach, I have to tell you, this technique, it's kind of fun. God is. God is all there is. There's only the one. I am. And I am one with God. Always have been and always will be. I'm one. And the third thing, it's kind of like, especially if you have little Girl Scouts or Boy Scouts or Scouts, I swear I am. Well, you do the I am. I am. And this is where you say, I am healed and whole. I am happy. I am healthy. I am one with God. I declare. And then this finger is, thank you. Bye-bye. That's treatment for youngsters, for us too, for the young in us. So I had a quote here from an amazing poet. This is not Rumi. He's a 14th century Persian Sufi mystic named Hafiz. He said, I wish I could show you when you're lonely or in darkness, the astonishing light of your own being. Astonishing light. So, like I said, you're going to go into more hell. More doors are going to shove you right down there. And it's okay. When that dark night of the soul comes, it's your special curriculum for you to learn, to walk through it, to embrace it, forgive yourself, create that new door. Accept all the gifts, because hell has lots of gifts to give you. So, and remember, hell is not your final destination. Heaven is not your final destination. We know we go on, we're infinite. So, just in closing, I want to mention again that there is no separation. That's the treat, the special treat. And St. John of the Cross, he was a 16th century Spanish monk. He said, the dark night finally gives way to the perfect brilliance. So I just say to you, trick or treat, the trick of separateness is overcome by the treat of oneness. So life is scary, but isn't that fun? So go carve a turnip. Thank you.